This is Larry the Barber Man, and today I'm at Barber Barber in London with Joey Power. Joey Power started barbering 3 years ago. Formerly, he was a scrap metal dealer for 10 years. He attended the London School of Barbering, where he then went on to work at a local barber shop. He then met Dale Ted Watkins, who took him underneath his wing and brought him here to Barber Barber London. Of late, he has become the head of the show team for Barber Barber. He's done educational work for the fellowship. He's a member of the Young Feds. He's also shot his own collection, and he's also an educator here at Barber Barber. Quite some achievement in a short period of just 3 years, Joey.
It is, and I ain't done yet. I'm just getting started, man. Yeah, it's been a good 3 years. Okay, massive. Nice. It's a whirlwind at the minute. Yeah. So
what I want to know, how instrumental would you say that Johnny is? Johnny is obviously the proprietor of the shop, Johnny Barber Barber, and Barber Barber been in helping you achieve, that list of achievements and accolades is off the scale.
Well, without working here, I don't think I would have got noticed. I don't think I would have got picked up by the Young Feds. I wouldn't be in a position of doing a collection. Johnny is, I can't praise him enough because he's such a clever man, and how he knows the industry, he helps me out with that. Joey, don't do this, don't do that. Joey, you need to go in that direction. So he mentors me throughout the industry, and he constantly pushes me to achieve what I'm going out to achieve. Johnny's he gives me a kick up my arse massively in the right direction, definitely.
Okay, and your mentor, Dale Ted Watkins, he's helped you create in this collection I spoke about. The collection's called Temporal Shift.
Temple Shift.
Temple Shift.
Temple Shift.
I apologise. Explain how Dale assisted you in creating this collection and define the collection to me. So
basically, Dale was a massive part of that collection. I've never done a photo shoot before. I've been on set with Dale, but only to assist. So now I'm kind of art directing, if you like, my own shoot. I needed that backing from Dale. He gave me a lot of advice on the day. He directed what I needed to do. He suggested certain things with the hair, and it was very, very hands on me and Dale on that shoot. I didn't want to feel like kind of like a fish out of water on that. So I kind of needed him having my back. Like he's had my back throughout my career so far. He pushes me where I need to go massively, do you know what I mean? So yeah.
And define the collection that you created.
So Temple Shift, I wanted to kind of mix heritage and the now together. Temple Shift is kind of a movement through the past, bringing it into the present. I wanted to mix traditional suits with a bright pattern, or mix match different looks together. I wanted it to be colourful yet classic and timeless. Some of the images that we've got, I really feel that they just go on forever. With the hair wise, I wanted it to be very edgy, but still using the traditional techniques. The square shapes, the round shapes, but I still had to put my twist on that. So Temple Shift is bringing the past into the now and just fusing them together. It's all about diversity and traditional values.
Okay, so when you create a collection, it's not just hair involved. There's makeup, there's photographers, there's stylists, there's a host of different people on this shoot. Tell me about the different members of your team and what each of them would achieve out of your hair collection.
See, it's really interesting that you mention what goes on behind the scenes, because again, I was quite naive about all of that. I just thought it'd be me, 5 models and a camera. It was completely different, The set was quite busy. Dale always told me not to have any extra fat on set. So i.e. you have the people that you need there. And that's how the day runs so smoothly, because everyone knew what they was doing. They had their own individual jobs, their own individual achievements, and that's how the day just sort of flew through very, very smoothly. But with regards to the team, so we had obviously the legendary Andrew Gilbert shooting it. He was quite creative on that as well. You know, he come up with a red background, the corner imagery, and working with Andrew was great. And I can't wait to work with him again. You know, he's definitely got that eye for detail massively. Then we had a makeup artist on there called Gareth. We had a colourist on there called Sophie D. Karen Lowe was the absolute driver for that day, organisation down to the absolute second. And Lance Lowe come up. I got a lot of tips and tricks from Lance Lowe. You know, he was very helpful on the day. You know, he showed me a few things that I used on the different hairstyles, and it was a big team.
Oh, no.
You know?
I mean, I've seen the pictures. The quality of them, the thought, the punchiness, everything was on point. So I could imagine that team must have consisted of a minimum of 8 people.
Yeah. Also, we had a behind-the-scenes guy shooting all behind the scenes, and what we got out of that collection, it wasn't just photos. You know, it was the whole shebang. That's what I wanted to do on my first collection. I wanted to just boom, land, and I feel like I've achieved that.
And who done the clothing? Because you had some really kind of like suits that were consistent with what you like to wear.
Well, 2 of them was my suits, but we got Joshua Kane on board. You know, Johnny got the gig for Joshua Kane's London Fashion Week, and I was very, very humbled to be asked to be a part of that team. You know, there was Dal, Lance Lowe, Andrew Gilbert, Johnny, and we done the, I think the collection was called Journey, and we done it at the Royal Albert Hall. So doing that for Joshua, I kind of thought, he might be able to lend me a few suits, you know, like be a bit cheeky. And I rung him up, and he lent us, I think, 3 suits that were obviously on point. Whatever Joshua does is great. And we had a few other sort of mix-mash bits, you know. I brought a few of my Larry Blazers, and it just worked. You know, styling is quite important when you're trying to build a collection. It's one of the fundamentals, you know, and I really wanted it to be on point. And like I said, I think we achieved that.
I mean, the styling, that creates the frame for your haircut. So, I mean, you look at the cut of a shirt, it kind of goes in a triangle. That's the frame that leads up to your haircut. So
there's some of the shots as well, and this is where Andrew gets creative, and he kind of like threw the blazer off and turned the collar up and loosened the tie, and it was just like they was coming out of a nightclub. It looked wicked, some of the shots.
Yeah, no, that's movement.
Yeah, exactly.
So what I want to know, because I've done a number of fashion shoots myself, because I've done fashion photography, for someone who was intending to kind of gain inspiration from this interview, what would you say your biggest takeaway from your very first photo shoot was? I know one thing for sure, when you do a collection of that caliber, time seems to go like that. That would be my one takeaway. What would be your one big takeaway?
Time does fly on that, and you know what? As soon as it finished, I wanted to start another one. Right, that's my driver for me now. I've had a little taste of it, and I'm constantly, I carry a rucksack everywhere I go, and it's got about 5 different pads in, and I just jot down ideas and stuff like that. But what was good about doing that collection was it's shown me something that I'm really, really interested in outside of the barbershop. You know, that's definitely something that I want to get involved with. And it's opened my eyes to so many different things, you know, actually realising what goes on behind a collection. And, you know, looking out of the box for inspiration, you know, what Gucci's done on their last collection is just off the scale. And you're always thinking for different ideas and different ways that you can show your creativity. So yeah, it's gave me a nice little look into the fashion world as well. You know, that's not something that I want to get into, but again, it kind of, that's one reason what got me into barbering, because I was interested in music and I was interested in fashion, and hair just slotted straight back in the, like smack bang in the middle of it. And now I'm kind of playing in with both, do you know what I mean? The fashion and the hair stuff, and it's great.
Well, they're concomitant, aren't they?
Yeah, of course they do, hand in hand.
It's like having the right shoes to go with your mods. There's certain shoes that will go and certain shoes that won't go. So Joey, tell me, what is your concept of hair?
So my concept of hair is, see, first and foremost, it has to be suitable for the client. End of. There's no point putting a mod haircut on a rocker. That's not going to work. But see, I like to work with longer hair. You know, I've kind of found a little niche. Obviously, it's very good because me and Dal have the same sort of view on hair. You know, I like what Dal does, and I've kind of started implementing my own little twists on that. But I like to work with longer lengths. I really like the really dirty, distressed lengths. You know, you'll kind of see in my collection that there was a lot of mid-length hair, and then we've done some really cool textured stuff. I like hair that kind of explodes. It's got a lot of internal shape and structure. You know, for me, that's kind of the nuts and bolts of my haircuts. It's all internal work. Shattering the hairlines and stuff like that to build character, but the shape must come from within, you know, because if you've got solid foundations in the hair, it's always going to sit nicely around the edges. So
shape before fade?
Ah, all the way, mate, all the way. I can fade, you know.
Okay, so you've just shot your first collection. How much would you say this has changed your outlook on men's hair and your working career?
It's, like I said previously, just a minute ago, it's gave me more hunger to do stuff outside of the barbershop. And it's definitely showed me that there's more to hair than your average short back and sides. And I'm excited to get a lot more creative with hair, try new things. A wise man said to me that some of his best haircuts have come from his fuck-ups. Sorry to swear. And I believe that, you know. There's days where I sit at home and I come home from work and I just go for a head block. You know, I don't want to stop with this stuff. I've found something that I love, something that I wake up every morning excited to do. And every day I learn something new. You know, if I don't, I see that as a bad day. But hair for me, it's constantly evolving. You know, I am at the very, very start of hopefully a very long career. And I've only scratched the surface of it. You know, there's so much more that I need to learn, so much more I want to understand, and so many more barriers and boundaries that I just want to smash through.
Well, I can see that. I can see that. I mean, why did you feel the need to create a collection to such an extent? I mean, because the vast majority of the barbering community, their collection lies with on their telephone. You know, no lighting, just taking the client out of the shop, that is their collection. I mean, you've gone to the extent to get a team, you know, the photographer, the makeup artist, the stylist, everything. I mean, what is your vision? I mean, that's quite a foundation to set for yourself. It
is. I mean, my old man told me never do anything by half. You know, half measures availed as nothing. And I truly believe that if you're going to do something proper, do something right, you know. For me, this collection was very, very important because it was kind of like my debut into the industry, if you like. You know, I'd done that primarily to get noticed. It's quite hard because I don't like posting everyday haircuts that I do in this very, very chair. You know, I like to kind of showcase my work outside of the barbershop because I can't do a lot of the haircuts that I love to do with your average sort of city boy or something like that. You know, it's that I wanted to do that collection as like an explosion onto the scene. That's why it was kind of paramount for me to get a very, very strong team. Like I said, it was my first one, so it had to be perfect, and it had to be big, and it had to have clout like it has. You know, it's going to be hard to follow up, but that's another challenge.
You've got another shoot coming up shortly as well, haven't you?
Yeah, fingers crossed September. Like I said previously, it's definitely gave me a taste. And there's so much that I learned on that first one that I can implement on the second one. You know, and it's all about evolving and you know, learning from not previous mistakes, but again, if I look at the flaws, not what was good about it, if I look at the flaws and what could have been better, and work on them, it's only going to get better as well. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, there's a shoot penciled in for September. I've changed my mind on what I wanted to do. That's maybe an idea for another time, but I'm looking at something quite simplistic, but very, very edgy as well, if that makes sense. Like, if you could get inside of my head, it would be absolute bedlam. But that's where...
What's it going to be, something like Hillbilly?
No,
inspired
no.
from the scrap metal collector?
There is a little... it's not, no. I was always thinking about doing a photo shoot in a scrapyard, but that's...
I think that would really work.
It would.
When long hair comes back in.
Not at this minute in time, you know. I want to do... I'm thinking maybe just headshots for this one, you know. Because I would like the power of my haircuts to speak for themselves. You know, I was going to do something on location, like an outside shoot, but I think that might be one for another day. So I'm thinking strong headshots for the next one.
Okay, so when, you know, you was talking about making a serious impression when people see this actual collection, when they do see this collection, I can feel it's going to blow their minds, especially the younger barbers and the older barbers that maybe haven't seen anything like that in barbering, because you are actually pushing the boundaries in barbering with the collection that you're coming out with. As, I don't know, maybe some parting words or some advice to calm their nerves, so to speak, what would you say that the starting point of creating and going about shooting a collection to the extent that you have done?
Right, if you've got an idea, run with it, get it down on pen and paper, and as soon as you wake up in the morning, you think about that idea. And as soon as you go to bed, you're thinking about that idea. And it kind of, for me personally, it built a fire up in my belly. And every day I was thinking about it, I had more and more clarity in my vision. And it's, you just got to make it happen, you know. For me, I kind of like thinking outside of the box and then smashing that box up, building another box and thinking outside that one. You know, I don't... My work should never, like, it's going to be quite hard to describe this, but I don't want my work to ever be boring. Do you know what I mean? I.e. bore myself with it.
You want it to be risky?
Yeah, I mean, dude, there's boundaries there, push them. Massively. You know, I left a very, very secure and good career to pursue my dream. And I'm not going to play about with it. You know, I'm going to literally push it to the extremes of what I can push to. And probably have a few meltdowns in the process. But yeah, I didn't want to step into barbering and just step in there. I want to smash through it. Do you know what I mean? I want to leave my stamp. And yeah, so if you've got a dream, it's literally, you've got to think about that day and night. It's got to be everything and all to you. Do you know what I mean? Okay. And then just live and breathe it, man.
Okay, and then just one more question with regards to the collection. Let's say someone, a barber, did have an idea in their head that they wanted to pursue and to create a collection. How would they go about gathering a team? Because obviously a collection cannot be done by one man.
No.
One man, no, it's not.
Well, it probably could, you know, it probably could, but you got to have a very strong team, and you've most definitely got to have a clear vision of what you want to achieve, and everyone on that team needs to have the same vision that you have in order to create what you want to create. You know, there can't be any different ideas. You know, you got to have your idea, get everyone else on board with that, and then run with that and create something beautiful, what you wanted to achieve.
Okay, so if there's any kind of discrepancies within the team of, you know, the makeup artist, the hairstylist, then someone needs to leave the team, or you need to change the concept.
Also, you've got to be kind of open-minded, because what that person might have to say could really bring something to the collection, you know. But if I've got an idea in my mind and someone wants to come in and completely change that, you know, that's messing with the dynamics of the collection, you know. But if, you know, again, two minds are better than one, you know. But you've definitely got to come to some sort of balance in what you're trying to create. You know, you can't have one person going the other way and you want to go this way.
Okay. So, like I said, I think that your collection will influence a lot of people. Let's say the younger barber coming up wanted to learn your way of doing things, because you quite like long hair, dealing with long hair.
Well, I think I found a little niche in that. You know, when I do stage work, I've always got scissors. I don't take clippers, simply because that kind of separates me a little bit, you know, maybe gets me noticed a little bit, and it's working for me at the minute, so I'm going to continue to do that. And it's, again, with longer hair, I can get more playful, I can get more creative, and I feel like I'm able to push myself a bit more in longer hair.
So if someone wanted to learn, you as Barber Barber got some form of academy?
Haha, I'm glad you mentioned that. So yes, there is a academy opened up in Manchester. Obviously Johnny's driving it. Dale's up there making one of his master plans. I'm currently doing the education in London. You know, the new boys that are coming through the door and getting them up to shop standards and stuff like that. But yes, the academy is opening up in Manchester, and I think it's going to be huge. I'm not too sure about all the details, but you know, whatever Johnny touches, it turns to gold anyway, so I have no qualms about that. But I think it's going to be in-house education. Again, once you've got Dal and Johnny's head together, they're going to come up with something spectacular. And it will be very interesting to see what comes out of that academy, you know. I would definitely like to see myself in a few years maybe being a part of that, you know. I'm starting out at the minute doing education in store in our London shop, and you know, that's another string to the bow, education. You know, it's definitely something that's giving me a little taste of at the minute. But yeah, I think the academy is going to be huge, and yeah.
And one last, very, very last thing, because at the beginning I introduced you as the Barber Barber show manager. Tell me what that.
Well, it was head of the show team. We done our first show at Telford at Barber Connect, and I think that went really, really well. We all had a giggle on stage. It was wicked. Johnny and Dal were like bouncing off of each other. And
sorry, you just made me laugh. That just reminded me of like Tony Montana from Scarface and the crazy man from Back to the Future.
Yeah, funny enough, I sent him a picture of what's his name? Doc Brown. Yeah. So anyway, and then after that show went really, really well. I think that's what Johnny wants to maybe push into a bit, you know, because Johnny's done his stage work and stuff like that, and I think his driver's a little bit elsewhere now, so he wanted to showcase his army, you know, and he's put me at head of the show team. We've got a few shows coming up soon, and I think that kind of run hand in hand with the stuff that I'm doing with the young feds as well. You know, I've only just started this year doing stage work, and again, I love it. As soon as I come off the HJ stand at Salon London, I was like, I want to go back on. Do you know what I mean? Luckily enough, we had the fellowship straight after, so it was good. But yeah, so it's exciting. You know, Johnny's building up this massive army of barbers. Obviously, with the academy, it's going to be even more explosive and even more dynamic. And yeah, I think Johnny's plans of taking over the barbering world are really taking place now. But yeah, the show team's another good thing. I've got a lot of passion about that stuff as well, and it's nice because it's like we had one of the boys here that started off as an apprentice, you know, Harry Bird, and he.
Who did you have start as an apprentice?
The guy that works next to me, Harry Bird.
All right, okay.
And
there's another Harry Bird.
Yeah. Really?
Harry Bird in Manchester.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Birmingham.
Yeah. And
Anyway, like 6 months later after being on the shop floor, he's standing next to me on the stage. That just shows the progression of a career at Barber Barber. You know, it's very, very, very hard work, but if you've got the work effort and you've got the driver, you know, I mean, I was well proud of Harry when he rocked up on stage. 6 months from being on the shop floor, you know. Johnny's all about pushing his team, and I think with this show team as well, it's just going to push it even further, and I'm really proud and humbled to be a part of that.
And this is 100% the last question, because I completely forgot about the young feds. Tell me a little bit how you got the gig with the young feds and what you actually do for the young feds. What does it mean to be a young fed?
It means so much. It really, really does, because it takes me back to my grassroots. You know, I remember once I met Dale and Dale took me under his wing, I begged him and annoyed the life out of him that wherever he went, I wanted to follow him. You know, whatever show he was going to, whatever expo, I was like Dale's shadow for about 18 months. And then what that done was it got me introduced to some really influential people in the industry, and it got me knowing what sort of circles I wanted to move amongst. And I remember, I think it was Salon International, I was watching the young feds on team and I was like, man, that Danaf looked good. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, oh, maybe one day, if I work hard enough, I might be on stage. Do you know what I mean? Like, without putting them on pedestals and stuff like that, but from a very, very, from a guy that's very, very early on in his career. Like, it's like watching Ronaldo play football. Do you know what I mean? That kind of ethic. And then, so how that come about was, I was at British Master Barber Live over in Crawley, again with Dal, and Adam Sloan, who I've built a really good relationship up over the past sort of, I'd say 6 months, 8 months. He was on stage and he mentioned that Simon Kibler was leaving and there was an opening for the team. And I looked at Dal and I was like, I'm going for it. As soon as he comes off stage, I'm going to be pulling on his, because he's a tall guy, I'm going to be pulling on his trousers, trying to get, yeah. So anyway, at the bar, we was talking, and I was like, so this young fed thing, I'm really interested. I want a platform that I can showcase on. And it kind of got left like that. And then I remember in our first interview, you asked me what was there coming up in 2017. I was like, I've got something, but I can't, like, playing my cards close to my chest. And that was one of the things, you know. And it come to light when Salon London was earlier on in the year. And I think a couple of boys couldn't make it. And he had me and Harry Green do like a gap filler, if you like, because Paul Mack had just joined the team, and Tarek was on stage, Josh LaMonica was somewhere, and Danny Robinson was somewhere. So this was like my trial, if you like, my interview. And we was on the HJ stand and we was on the fellowship stands, and then that was on the Sunday. And then back on the Monday, we was on the HJ stand on the Monday, and I thought, right, okay, if I'm going to do this, I need to have some really off the scale haircuts. So I done like a really cool rock star, it was dirty, do you know what I mean? And then I done a cool little windy mullet thing, and yeah, since then, you know, I like to think I gave Adam and Joe Sloan, you know, the absolute compare of all compares, and the team's backbone, if I'm honest, Joe Sloan. I like to think that I impressed them enough that they took me on full time, you know, and we've done Durham, we've done Southend, obviously we got Salon International, and I think Pro Hair Live maybe, I'm not too sure, but they're constantly doing stage work, and to be a part of that team, it was a dream come true, really.
It just shows it. Sometimes you've got to grab the bull by the horns.
Exactly.
Because you saw that opportunity when Kibler was leaving, and you just jumped straight on it, and you never knew, did you?
You don't take risks. Personally, I believe that you're not going to push on, you know. So yeah.
Joey Powers, thank you ever so much for having me back here in London at Barber Barber and sharing the new chapter in your life. And like, I'm sure when people see, you know, the extent and, you know, the colourfulness and the punchiness of your new collection, it's going to blow them away. So carry on doing what you're doing, and I wish you every success in what you're doing.
Sweet, Larry, thanks for having me back then.
So that concludes my interview with Joey Powers here at Barber Barber London. He was talking about his new collection. Joey's been in barbering for 3 years now, started as a scrap metal dealer, went to the London School of Barbering, ended up here at Barber Barber, and he's pushed on to do all those wonderful things that you heard on the tail end of our interview. So we're out of here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.